Satish, it's a great honor to be up here with you and speaking together. I've, of course, heard you speak many times and have already received so much wisdom from the life you've led and the things that you say. So thank you. As Ruby said, I started my career life almost as a model, and through that learned that that trajectory had kind of no purpose in it for me. And after a few years of doing only modeling, I was really flailing around inside, wondering who I was. If you'd asked me when I was 23 years old, what kind of music do you like? I don't know, stop intruding, because I had no idea who I was and no way to find out anything about myself, living this life where I was a blank canvas for everybody else to kind of play with and make up what they wanted to. And yet it all seemed in my career that it's difficult to explain this. Here we go. I'll try again. So as a model, it often feels like or looks like the model is responsible for everything and is empowered and is creative and is doing things and is choosing the way she does everything. That is absolutely not the way modeling is at all. I have no creativity, really, is what it feels like, actually. And you feel like you just stand there and people tell you where to move and what to do. And in the end, my soul also felt like it was just standing there and didn't have any way of moving forward or being curious or interested or developing myself. So I came from that place, sort of mental health-wise and spiritually, in my early 20s, and then found in my mid-20s that I was passionate about one thing: the earth. And slowly I rehabilitated my soul, I think, by learning about the earth. What is biodiversity, farming, all of the things that you can learn about when you decide that you're interested in the earth. And that really healed me. And now I'm 35 and it's been almost 10 years. And of that healing journey, I feel more alive than ever. I love myself now. Wow, that is such a difference. And that all came from the earth and realizing that I had this passion and this purpose, which is to learn about and look after and play my role in biodiversity, in my role as a human. And one of the things I did is started a charity called Dirt. As Ruby said, we regenerate soil globally by supporting the biodynamic farming movement. We place an emphasis on non-food crops because right now there's far more emphasis being placed on food crops. How do we grow our food? Regenerative agriculture is often talking about tomatoes and chicken, but it rarely talks about fibers and leather. And fiber and leather are actually almost half of agricultural crops, because when you include wood into fiber, because 60% of our natural fibers that we wear in clothing are made of tree fibers. And tree fibers are disguised in other kinds of names like rayon, viscose, lyocell, tencel. All of those words just mean tree fiber. That's what those materials are. And they come from tree plantations. And they may say that they're from sustainable forestry, but that usually just means that it was an old growth forest that was cut down. So good, okay, basics. But when you have a tree plantation, it's a monospecies of tree, and it's planted in the most opportune way for light and sunshine to be distributed around the trees in the best way possible so that they can grow the fastest, which means that they're not happy. It's like a field of trees. And so the only way to keep that field of trees alive is to spray it with chemicals, because it's very vulnerable to pests and disease and fungal infections, because there's no balance when we have a monocrop, same as when we do one whole field of cotton or one whole field of corn. So all the problems that we think about and know about when we eat, we need to apply those problems to our clothes equally, because our fashion is killing our planet just as much as our food system is. And we can do something about that. We don't have to just wear the clothes that are sold. And I know that I'm speaking to an incredibly well-educated audience here, and it's wonderful to be. But we still need to help this industry to change, because, and when I say the industry, I mean the fashion industry. And when I say the fashion industry, I don't only mean the garments that strutted down runways. And I don't just mean the high fashion houses. I mean every single piece of clothing, pair of shoes, handbag, even earrings, hats that any human has ever worn or will ever wear. The volume is tremendous. And we can put that volume to good use. We can start sending those billions of dollars that go down the fashion supply chain and source our raw materials to regenerative agriculture. And this is what we at DIRT charity hope to be seeing in the future, is that our work is contributing to the billions of dollars of sourcing power that the fiber and textile industry has, that right now is buying tons and tons and tons of chemicals, and could be, in fact, supporting a transition to just regenerative agriculture. We need to look at a full change in the supply chain, and it's very exciting. It's a lot of work, and things have begun. You're hearing a lot now about sustainable fashion, but we are not in a good place for 2024. If we were 40 years ago and we were where we are now, I'd say, well done. Like, we've done a pretty good job. We're on our way. But because it's 2024 already and we're right in the middle of our climate crisis, we need to move faster. So anything you can do to become little activists in the fashion industry because you wear clothes. Nobody here is naked, I see. Do it, please. Contact the businesses in fashion. Obviously, buying secondhand is a nice little trick. It's a very good trick to be far more sustainable. But then if you choose to buy something new, do a little research and buy it from the businesses that are doing things in the right way, and they are so grateful for your purchase. Whereas the big ones are not that grateful for your purchase. It feels really different to build a relationship with smaller, beautiful fashion brands. And if you are so lucky, as I am right now, to have money in my pocket and be able to buy the more sustainable version, I really encourage you to do so. Those of us who can afford it, it is our responsibility to buy from those brands because they need our business as well. So now I'm going to turn to our dear Satish and ask him some questions about the spirituality in land, in plants, and his relationship with that throughout his life. So my first question to you is, can you tell us a story of a moment when you've really felt the being or conversed with the being of a plant? What happened? How did it feel? And what led you to be able to do that?
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Arizona and Ruby for organizing this event. Isn't it wonderful to have young leaders like Ruby and Arizona? Wonderful. Thank you. My first experience of earth and all living beings upon this earth as sacred and as teachers came when I was a very young boy. Nature is our teacher. That was my mother's motto. And my mother was a gardener, and he believed that everybody should be a gardener. And she will walk to, our garden was a little bit further away from our house, so we'll walk to the garden, and along the way, she will teach me that nature is our teacher. And one thing she said is, look at the honey bee. Honey bee is our teacher. Honey bee goes from flower to flower to flower, taking a little nectar here, a little nectar there, a little nectar there. Never, ever too much. Never a flower has complained that honeybee took too much nectar away. And when it takes that little nectar from the flowers, what does it do with it? It transforms healthy, delicious, nutritious honey. How many humans can do that? And while doing this, taking nectar to make honey, is pollinating, creating relationship. That's the most sacred, most inspiring, most beautiful memory that I have of seeing honey bee as our teacher. And so ever since, for me, earth, nature, and the gardening and farming and living with nature in harmony has become a kind of religion. Nature religion, earth religion. Religion is not in the church for me. Religion is not in the temple. Religion is not in the book. Religion is in the earth. Earth is our true religion. Earth religion, nature religion. And so I have always said, and this morning I was telling to Arizona and Ruby, I was reading a book. One, my mother, early childhood, and the other is a philosopher called Martin Buber. Anybody has heard of Martin Buber? Yes, one or two. If you have not heard, I can recommend. He says that earth is not it. Trees are not it. Trees and earth are animate. They are living, sacred beings, and therefore they are thou. I-thou relationship, not I-it relationship. When you say thou, there's kind of sacred meaning. You are a living being, and therefore we are related. There's a between us, something between us. I-thou relationship has this between us, but it is a kind of separational. It is. And it's inanimate, living, not living. And earth is a living system. And so one of my farm in my life, many farms I have visited, but one of my favorite farm, biodynamic farm, you may have heard of it, is in Italy, called Fattoria La Biala. Have you heard of it?
Yes, I have.
They are my good friends.
Extraordinary farm.
Extraordinary farm. And I go there for my holiday. And I go there. They are my good friends. The three brothers run it. If you have not heard of Fattoria La Biala, go for a holiday there. They have lovely cottages. It's near Arezzo. It's a beautiful Tuscan town. And there's a beautiful fresco by Piero della Francesca. The beautiful, in Arezzo, the very beautiful church. It's a beautiful fresco. And so they produced wine, cheese, olive oil, pasta, bread, everything they do, all 150 people employed. And they all do by hand harvesting and all biodynamic. And that's another of my relationship.
It's a very big farm. I think it's 1,000 hectares, isn't it? It's one of the
1,000
biggest biodynamic farms. So at scale, it works, this technology.
Yeah. Lots of hills. And so you can, the lake and the hills and the forest and the fields and the olive trees and the vineyards. It's beautiful, biodynamic, and they are profitable. Lots of people think that organic farming, biodynamic farming doesn't make money. They make money. And they support researchers. They give every year £5,000 to support researchers. So they make money. So you can be a successful farmer. And if you are not a gardener, from today, go from this festival, medicine festival, and say, I'm going to be a gardener. When at Schumacher College young people come, I say, you are all going to get married. Marry a gardener. Marry a gardener. Because in our schools, all children should learn to garden. Organic, biodynamic, agroecology, permaculture, Nordic farming. There are many, many good ways to do gardening. If every school in England had a garden, just imagine, children have no fear of nature. Nature will not be it, nature will be thou, a living being. And so every school must have a garden, organic and biodynamic and permaculture garden. And every university should have a field where young people go and plant the seeds and see the miracle of nature, the magic of nature. That you plant one seed in the ground, that one seed becomes the apple tree and gives you 500 apples every year. Year after year for 50 years. That's from one that little seed. And each apple has 5 more seeds in it. So you can plant from one seed, you can create a whole new orchard. Is it a miracle? But our children don't learn it. Our young people don't learn it. They see nature is just a kind of inanimate. It is a tree, just a source of economy. And so I would say that let's advocate and let's pressurize our government to put, like you have a playing field, you have football pitch, you have a cricket field, you have everything, but no garden in our schools. So every school must have a garden. That's my motto.
Definitely. And agreed. And on the note of it versus a pronoun that gives a plant a being, I've found that through doing this and through cultivating this idea in myself, I've found there's a real magic in the greeting with plants. I moved into my new flat a year ago. A year ago it was new. It still feels very new. And we still don't have curtains. That's how new it is. And so out of my bedroom window, there is a tree. And in the mornings in the summer when it's light, when I wake up, and I promise you that tree is going like this. Hello. Are you up yet? Ah, you're up now. It starts talking to me immediately, as soon as I am awake. And I've noticed that as I walk by a plant now, I greet it. Because I acknowledge that it's there. Because how rude is it to walk by a living being without acknowledging it at all? You don't have to stop and say hello and give a hug to every single living being that you walk by, but just acknowledging it, that it is there, that it is loved, that it has a life, that it loves itself, that it's on a journey. Just acknowledge. So we've got two little ones right there. Hello, guys. Thanks for being here. That has changed my life profoundly to start doing this in a real way on a daily basis. I've also had a very transformative experience over the last few years because I live in a city with moss. I feel nature deprived because I live in a city. But I live in London. It's very wet. There's moss everywhere once you look for it. So I've decided that I look for moss everywhere now. And whenever I find moss, I stop for between 15 and 25 seconds, not a huge amount of time, and I study the moss with my eyes and try to get other senses going as well. But my eyes are the easiest one to use for moss. Wow. This has transformed, yes, me in the present moment, but what it's really transformed is my memory landscape. Now, I've been doing this for about 5 years, 6 years. Those last 5, 6 years of London, to me, are covered in moss. Whereas the years before that, the 4 or 5 years that I lived in London before that, are kind of concrete, hard walls in my memory. Isn't that incredible? And it's made me think a lot about nature deprivation in children and what their memory landscape is like of those very formative years when they actually only see hard, concrete edifices that are made by machines. Not even man-made, they're not even human-made, they're made by machines. So let's consider that. And then I also went to think about prisons and prisoners who have very, very, very little access to nature.
I actually know a prison in California. A black woman started it, and she said, why our prisoners recommit offense? Because they go out, they don't know what to do with their lives. So she started in San Francisco a garden in prison. She said she knew the prison manager or prison director and said, if you want to really reform these people committing crime, if you reform them, start a garden. Garden is a therapy. Garden is the real way of transforming.
It's purpose
It's
as well.
amazing. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. So it's a wonderful. So I agree with you that garden in every school, garden in every prison, and garden in every home.
Yes.
Every home should have a garden. No home. All these high-rise buildings. Yesterday's story. Demolish them. And create a garden.
Everywhere with moss, lots of moss in the gardens, yes. So one more question for you, and then I would love to ask if anybody here would like to share an experience that they've had with a plant, whether it's just a moment that they had, maybe you were told something by a plant, maybe a plant helped you understand something about the future or unravel something in your past. Do you have any profound moment that you could share with us about relationship building with the living entity of a plant? Let's do that now, actually. Yes, go ahead.
I ended up asking this cave in the jungles of Ecuador about becoming a mother, and I got an answer. Well, so I thought, I just kept going into this kind of, because it felt like a womb. I was like, okay, I'm going to ask this question. And I kept asking it, and she kept just saying, "It for you, it doesn't matter in this lifetime. Just relax and trust that it's going to come if it's supposed to." And I kept asking just to make sure, and it helped me a lot, because then I didn't carry this anxiety around being like, should I be a mother or not? But I got that answer straight from like this, I suppose, the cave, the soil. So that was a very profound thing. Yeah. So I ask nature big questions now. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Would anybody else like to share a story? Yes?
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Two things I would like to mention. I grew up in Hungary. Yeah, I'm Peter, by the way. Grew up in Hungary, and we had in the school, in primary school and secondary school, a school garden. The garden was like about that long, like from here to the trees, and about half as wide. And in summer holiday, we had to go to cultivate 3 times at least. And if you didn't go as a kid, you started the year with bad grade. It wasn't in every, but I think it was really good because we had a relationship, or could develop the relationship with the nature, and the plants what we grew that was used in the school holiday, the school canteen. So it was really good, but not in every school, just in village schools. And later on in my life, I realized the biggest bless was in my life that I grew up in village. And the problem is, the story ends sad, because years after I finished the school, the council decided, oh, we don't need it, and they sold the land, and now the school doesn't have garden. So that's a bit sad.
Yeah.
Another story, as you mentioned, prisoners. So prisoners, yes, they have no other option than get back to the crime, because somehow the prison, so they don't do any sort of activity which would be in relation to other people or the nature. But I also would like to mention that it's not natural to live in town or cities. If you think, all crimes happen in cities. Why? Because people are frustrated, and young people, and in villages where you can go around, mess around, quote unquote, with friends, but animals, the nature, crimes much rarely happen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, we need more gardens. I think we all agree. Let's do one more story. Yes, one more in the front thing.
Hello. Hi, hello. I have quite a deep relationship with indigo and flax. In fact, I think I've been possessed in a good way. I sort of opened myself up in service during a plant spirit medicine journey. I asked, what can I do? And it's led me to grow a pair of jeans. I was speaking about them yesterday. And yeah, I just think if indigo is the color of God in many cultures around the world, it's a very powerful, I think of it as a deity. I literally will bow down and worship the vat, because it's quite a temperamental being. And it's been a bit of a roller coaster. I think if you offer yourself up in service, you best get ready to ride whichever direction it takes you in. And now there's, 70 million pairs of jeans going to be sold in the UK this year. And there's only one pair that hasn't been imported. And it took me about 9 months spinning hand every day to make them.
I want to cry.
It's
Thank
a bit
you
of
so
a
much.
wild ride.
Very good. Thank you.
That is, oh, sorry, I didn't mean
when
thank you,
you
like, stop
mention-
talking. I meant thank you for
I don't
doing
wanna
that. You may keep talking, please.
When you mention indigo and God, in the Indian philosophy, we say, Isha Vashyamidam Sarvam, which means all existence, every living being is God. God is not one human being somewhere behind the clouds in heaven, made the world in 6 days and then went to sleep and she's sleeping. God is active every day, all creation happening, birth, death, growth, everything happening is divine. So God and world are not separate. So not only indigo is God, but every tree, every wasp, every bee, every blade of grass, every human being are divine beings. The moment we see sacred in everything, that's a kind of Hindu philosophy. So God, beginning, continuing, ending, birth, life, death, everything is God. That's a kind of divinity. God is not a name of one person or some creator who created the world. That's not a Hindu idea. The Hindu idea is everything, all creation is God, divine, sacred.
I agree.
And that sense of the sacred is lost today. We are all seeing as a materialism. Everything is just matter. But nothing is just matter. Everything has a spirit. And the spirit is divine, sacred. So matter and spirit together. When Christians say, Holy Spirit, I say, what about holy matter? Matter is also sacred. Our bodies are sacred. Trees are sacred. Animals are sacred. Birds are sacred. So that's a kind of indigenous wisdom, that sense of the sacred, sense of the divine, and the spirit everywhere. So the moment you bring the spirit and matter together, the union of the matter and the spirit, the marriage of the matter and the spirit together, holy matter, holy spirit, if we can have that together, and we have no climate crisis. If you love nature and you love this, and nature is sacred, you will not pollute your rivers, and you will not put your sewage in the rivers, and you will not put your carbon in the atmosphere, and you will not put plastic in the oceans, and you will not destroy the rainforest and destroy all the soil to produce soya beans for exporting to somewhere in China. That kind of lack of love for nature, because nature doesn't inanimate it. It is. So this is why I mentioned Martin Buber, that nature is Tao, it's a sacred, it's a divine, and we must need to bring that consciousness in our mind.
We do. Yeah, I only say that because, blue is associated with spirit, isn't it? But I think a lot of our spirituality has been very kind of not grounded, not earthed. Yes. So, yeah, I get what you mean.
Thank you for bringing indigo into the room. I'll use this moment to talk a bit about the very relevant work that Dirt is doing around dye stuff, because dye stuff is one of the most impactful negatively parts of the fashion industry and parts of our clothing. And it's very difficult to dye something right now in a commercial way with a dye that isn't toxic to the microorganisms that live in water, that the dye will inevitably wash out into from the factory, but also from our own washing machines. So the dye is a problem on every stage of the garment's life cycle, including when it's disposed of, because if it reaches a compost pile, which eventually all of our clothes need to reach compost piles, that's the reality. We will not have a sustainable fashion industry until we fulfill that circle of the circular economy, with this soil being the beginning and the end. I see so many diagrams for circular economies that are like in the air, recycling over and over and over again. What about back into soil, and what about from soil? It's the most important piece of that circle, and it's so often left out. So the work that we're doing is we're facilitating the creation of 10 new standards for all the materials that are natural materials grown in soil that are used in textiles. So hemp, silk, linen, wool, cashmere, dye stuff, leather. All of these materials, the tree fibers that I mentioned at the beginning, need to have a higher standard for how we grow them, how we process them, and what we do at the end of their lives, because there will be an end of life. And we have to admit, no matter how pretty something is, everything we make is trash. So where are we going to put it? And when we think like that, I'm making trash. Okay, how am I going to make this trash in a way that the worms can eat it, so that it's not trash anymore, so that it is food? So we're in a nutrient cycle instead of a trash cycle in fashion. And we're working with Demeter, who is the certifying body of biodynamics. They've seen great success in food and wine, but they don't yet help us over here on the fashion space. And so we're working with Demeter to create, they have very, very high standards for growing and processing, not just the growing. And we're working with them to create equally as high standard for growing and processing and decomposition of garments. We are almost finished with the first one of the 10, and it's dye stuff. So on September 1st, it will be hopefully approved by Demeter. It's in the process now being reviewed. And then we'll make the following 9 after that over hopefully the next 2 years. And we are currently fundraising to support this work. So if you feel moved to have a better fashion industry, please consider supporting the charity. We are so grateful for every single bit of support that we get, whether you're a business or an individual. All your support is welcome.
I agree with you that when you are buying something, and if you can afford, buy something which is beautifully made, but buy less also. Buy less. And whatever fashion industry or anything we make, fashion is particularly, people have wardrobes full of clothes, and some of them are never used or used once in 5 years in a party. So buy less. But there are 3 principles in fashion for me. I call it the bud principle. B-U-D, bud principle. B stands for beauty. Everything should be beautiful. If it's not beautiful, don't buy it, don't make it, don't have it in your house. At the moment, our crisis in the world is not climate crisis, it's not biodiversity crisis, it's not war crisis, it's a crisis of aesthetics. We have lost a sense of beauty. And so whatever you have in your house, whatever you buy, whatever you make should be beautiful. And this morning session, I would like to end with a song about beauty before we go. And the second principle is useful. Whatever you have is not just decoration. It's not just there for prettiness, for eyes, visual. It should be also useful, beautiful and useful. Your shawl should be beautiful. Your shirt should be beautiful. Your shoes should be beautiful. Your pots, pans, anything should be useful, beautiful and useful. And then the third principle is durable. It should be durable, should last for 10, 15, 20 years. My mother's saris were inherited in a kind of legacy of her saris by my sisters-in-laws and daughters, my sisters. And so, durable, beautiful, useful, durable. Bud principle. Can you remember bud principle? I want to sing a song about beauty. Everybody stand up.
Yes, please.
I'll sing first time, then everybody join together. I walk in beauty before me. I walk in beauty behind me. I walk in beauty above me. I walk in beauty below me. I walk in beauty all around me. The whole world is beautiful. The whole world is beautiful. The whole world is beautiful. Ho! Everybody together. I walk in beauty before me. I walk in beauty behind me. I walk in beauty above me. I walk in beauty below me. I walk in beauty all around me. The whole world is beautiful. The whole world is beautiful. The whole world is beautiful. Oh. Once again, once again. I walk in beauty before me. I walk in beauty behind me. I walk in beauty above me. I walk in beauty below me. I walk in beauty all around me. The whole world is beautiful. The whole world is beautiful. The whole world is beautiful. Oh, good.
Thank you so much.
Our mission in life is to create beauty.
Yes.
You have given this task today. Go home after Medicine Festival. Only thing you have to do is everything beautiful. And the beauty is not just an eye pretty, visual. Beauty means balance, proportion, harmony, usefulness, durability. There are many, many good qualities, more than pretty. Beauty is like in truth, goodness, and beauty, the Trinity. Beauty cannot happen without goodness and without truth. Beauty is the product of truth and goodness. So this is why you say truth, goodness, and beauty. Beauty is a third. Beauty is a child of the marriage between truth and goodness. Truth is the father, goodness is the mother, feminine, and the truth, beauty is a child. So remember that. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, leave that behind. Truth, goodness, and beauty. That's the new Trinity. And so if we can create beauty in our heart, why our modern society is so in love with ugliness? Our whole, everybody in love with concrete. We are cutting down trees like Joni Mitchell's song, you remember? Joni Mitchell's song, that we cut down all the trees and created parking lots. So that's the kind of, we are in love with concrete, our modern world, and ugly concrete. Yeah. And so our job at Medicine Festival is to create beauty. That's my message.
And now it's time for Satish to do a book signing. So if you would like to, he will be there in the back signing
Mark
books.
Will come. Mark, could you say a few words about the books?
Yes.
And the magazine Resurgence?
And
then I'll be there signing the books. If you want to buy Radical Love and Soul Society, any book, I'll be happy to sign.
And 3 things to remember: read Resurgence magazine, go to Schumacher College, and donate to Dirt Charity. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a lovely life.